Welcome to the Chamber's Elevated Conversations podcast. And now, your host, Dave Eckmann.
Greetings, and welcome to this edition of Elevated Conversations. I'm your host, Dave Eckmann. This morning, we're going to be with Mayor Katie Rosenberg, the 46th mayor of the city of Wausau. If you didn't know, when we entered this pandemic, about March 12th, 2020, the election would happen about 3 weeks later, April 7th. And Mayor Rosenberg learned that evening of April 7th that she was now the mayor. And so today what I'd like to do is just bring her into a conversation and really let her share her experience from that day moving forward. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you so much. I really am pleased to be on this podcast with you.
Yeah, we look forward to the conversation. You're elected April 7th by a very significant majority of the voters. Let's go back to that April 8th day. What were you thinking when you were elected, and then what we were sitting in the middle of, still are actually?
Right. So if you'll recall, on April 7th, we didn't get the results. We had to wait another week until the 13th when they finally released them. So I guess on April 7th, it was kind of an anticlimactic day for me, just as an election enthusiast, then having to wait that extra time. But then on the 13th, obviously I was very excited and I tweeted that was now heard around the world. But yeah, being in the middle of a pandemic really kind of puts into perspective the job of local government. And I think that we've seen throughout the last month how we can either work together as these different levels of government, federal, state, local, or we can go our own ways. And I think what I've found out, especially in the last month, is that we have a really strong coalition of local governments here in Marathon County who want to work together to get the job of the people done. But it is not easy walking in and making those decisions that, can be argued are life and death right off the bat. I mean, there's no way around it. So, I mean, it's been tough, but yeah. I'm here for that.
Thank you for pointing that out because, for most of us in this pandemic, even now, the calendars flow such, and your reminder to me that the election was in fact the 7th, but we didn't get the returns until the following week. I think that really goes to the tone that everybody's dealing with, is that these days turn into months rapidly.
Yep.
It's amazing.
It's tough to know what day it is. I'm looking at my calendar here, and it's Monday, so I need to catch up here.
So, when you came into office in that first week, and what were some of the first things that you had to do as a leader at the city to get your bearings?
Right. So, campaigns are always tough, and you're sharing messages that may be different from what, staff want to hear. Maybe it's uncomfortable or unfamiliar. So walking in on day one, you really have to build rapport with people and figure out what their jobs are, what they're doing, and make sure you understand it before you're asking them to do all kinds of different things. So I think there was a little bit of skepticism when I walked in. Obviously, again, politics is not for the weak-hearted. But we also had a city council meeting that same night. Usually you have an opportunity to get into the role and understand things a little bit, but it was just walk in, get ready to chair this meeting, and by the way, you're making really important decisions. So, and you're not going to get to meet any of your council members because they'll all be appearing remotely. So it's very strange to walk into a role like that. And, I guess it's a little bit of, it's been okay having some of that slow down, some of the, what we're calling non-essential business, which, we don't do non-essential business, but some of the stuff that you can wait on. But, I'm starting to feel impatient, like I want to get back to the vision that I had when I was running. So, still learning how to temper that.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that. I think most organizations, especially if you're in the governmental or nonprofit organizations, that you want to try to get back to some sense of normalcy. to move some things forward. So you got in there, and now today you're doing some things in the community, not only to help the citizens, but also the businesses. I understand that there's a new program out from the city that's going to do a microgrant program for some of the businesses that may have been impacted. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, definitely. So that happened just last night at the city council meeting. And, some of this has been in the works a little bit before I got in. So major shout out to Tammy Stratz in our economic development department for kind of leading this process through. But what we're doing is we're both using some of the CARES funding from the federal government and reprogramming some other community development block grant funding into these micro loans for small businesses. And I think we're also doing some grants. So we'll have opportunities. We're doing grants and we're doing loans. So we're starting that out. I want to say we're launching it tomorrow, and that will be Thursday. We want to make sure that some of those businesses that maybe didn't get some of the payroll protection funds or some of the other federal monies that came through, that we're really prioritizing these small businesses that really have that need. So they'll have an application process. As these things go, the money is from HUD, so there are some reporting requirements, but we tried to make it with the grants to be less arduous on the small businesses. So we're doing as much as we can to take that heavy lift off of them. But I'm really excited. We'll have McDevco as our administrator of these grants and loans. We know they have the expertise, so we're really excited to see how we can impact the community in that way.
Yeah, that's terrific. And the businesses are going to need it. The businesses that we understand right now, they're getting ready to open, and then the money's going to be important now and moving forward over the coming months. So that's greatly appreciated at what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm really excited that we can help. And obviously the other thing I want to do is we have WEDC coming in with all of these different programming opportunities for loans and grants. So I've been working pretty closely with Stacy Johnson, our regional WEDC director, and trying to get that word out about what is available to people so that we can get as much of that money in the middle of the state as we can. It's really important.
That's terrific. So you're working on that. You're doing the public safety. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you quickly about was the effort that I saw last night that the city has taken steps to enhance the opportunities for downtown dining to help our restaurants. Could you share a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, sure. So as you know Mark Craig, and he's very excited about our downtown businesses, which is great. So we talked a few weeks ago. He's kind of a vision person, a big vision. So we had to figure out how do we help our downtown restaurants and businesses to get the safest opportunities to reopen, so they can earn their money here and contribute and pay employees and things like that. So what we're doing, it's a couple different steps here. So the first thing we're doing is expanding the premises for some of these restaurants. So they have cafe permits, which means they can put out tables and chairs onto the sidewalk. So we're just expanding that a little bit so they can maybe get a little bit more opportunity to spread out those tables, down the street where maybe we haven't allowed them to do that in the past. So that'll be good for people. We can space them out so they're less likely to come into contact with others, allow for that social distancing. And then the other thing is we're allowing Wausau area the downtown river district to hold special events. We have a permit that they've applied for. It'll be every Wednesday. So where we used to have the concerts on the square, we will close down 3rd Street and kind of allow people to spill out into the street with their tables and chairs. So we'll be taking over some of those parking spaces. Obviously, we have to be up to spec with the fire department being able to get through. But we'll allow people to maybe spill out into the 400 block and just, again, give people the opportunity to enjoy the local downtown dining without putting their health at risk. so they'll be able to spread out. It should be a really good time, and obviously we'll learn as we go on. This will likely change. I've already heard from some businesses who are interested in other parts of the city in having more outdoor dining opportunities. And so this doesn't specifically target downtown aside from that special events permit with the River District. Any restaurant could apply to expand their premises and be out in their parking lots. We heard from Red Eye. So, there's lots of opportunity for folks.
That's terrific. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of somebody new coming into office, and you've got an open mind and to build the community, to provide for safety in the community, but to also understand the importance of commerce. And so I can tell you from a chamber perspective, I really, truly appreciate that. We talked a little bit about today, and what I'd like to do is, and you referred to it at the onset of our conversation, is let's go if we could visit your vision real quick and just share what you see or what your hopes are for the city of Wausau. As I'm not going to say we emerge from this totally, but it's going to be a slow emergence. What's your vision?
Yeah, so really, my background, I worked at Foot Locker, I worked in retail, I worked in media, and I guess my vision comes out of that experience. It's wanting to be able to plan for our future appropriately. We have a lot of opportunity to change what's going on here in Wausau for the better. I need more people moving to Wausau. I need to grow our population. I want to grow our businesses. We need to grow our tax base. So, that's kind of the big thing. But I also want to make sure that, whatever I do here, I'm setting up Wausau for success beyond me. And so I don't know if you watched the city council meeting last night, but I presented to the council the concept of actually strategically planning our future. And, we've had all kinds of comprehensive plans and things like that. And it's tough to get a council who's elected every 2 years to really take that 20-year plan and turn it into bite-sized opportunities at those committee levels. But I think strategic planning, we're talking 5 to 7 years. We're talking about goals that are attainable beyond them and beyond me, but it's still attainable. So that's really what I want to do. I want to understand what are the needs of our community. We have that. We'll do a needs assessment. I want to talk to businesses. What do you need to succeed? I want to talk to citizens about what are they not getting that they'd like to get. I have a lot of ideas, but I want to make sure I'm moving in the right direction. And I want the council to have that opportunity to guide their committee work, because sometimes it feels like we're reacting to things when really we could be proactively creating this policy that helps us grow. So that's my vision. And I'm willing to be open to what that ends up looking like.
Sure. And, just to validate, you reached out to me via email with a request for citizen participation in your administration, and that is very welcomed, and we promoted that out. So I want to let people know that you are asking for their help, and so is there we can promote that through the chamber website, but is there a place specifically, Mayor, that we can ask people to go to if they want to serve?
Yeah, so we have it on our city website. There's a section for boards, committees, and commissions. And on that page, you'll be able to see all of the different committees and boards and commissions that have opportunities for citizen participation. So I need to appoint tons of people. I'm going to calculate it out. It's got to be hundreds of people to these various committees to get the work of the city done. And what I realized when I started attending some of those is that, I'm seeing some of the same faces, or we're lacking certain kinds of input. And, business acumen is really important when we're talking about some of this. So that's specifically why I reached out to you. I want to make sure that we have some various viewpoints and people that are specifically thinking about the business community. So you can find that on our on that website. I have an opportunity to research all of those, and then you can click and you can apply. So you can tell me why you are interested in certain committees, and then I'll be appointing people. It's a rolling basis. These things are coming up constantly. I haven't had a meeting yet where I haven't appointed somebody to something. So I really would love to have a really good smattering of the community represented in these.
Sure, and we'll make sure we continue to promote that for you. So I have one closing question for you. You've been now since the 13th, 14th, you've been in the position of April. Reflecting on the past 2 months, what's been What's best served you from your life experience? Are there lessons or people that have come to mind?
Yeah, I think there are a couple things that have helped me to kind of just keep myself grounded and continue doing the work without feeling overwhelmed. So the first thing is obviously, and you know this being in business, it's having a really good network. I have some really great mentors that are willing to answer my calls at 10 at night and kind of go over things. And, you know, you can't always do that with the people that report to you, but I'm lucky to have people like Brad Carger, John Robinson. You know, I have all kinds of great folks who have been involved in government, but know what this is like. Maybe not the specific going through a pandemic, but they know how to kind of calmly survey the options. So I don't feel panicked about what we have to do. I feel like I'm able to methodically plan. And I think the other thing is just being confident in your decision making, but also knowing that you have to make a decision. It's so easy to sit here and say, well, I'm not going to make a decision on that. We'll just wait. And at a certain point, we just got to make the decision and move on. And that's probably something also from business. You know, you just have to make the call and then move on. And if it's the wrong call, you'll adjust and continue moving forward. But you can't sit here kind of hemming and hawing. So both of those have kind of helped.
Terrific. So a quick question. Mayor Katie. I like the ring of that. How about you? Are you okay with people calling you Mayor Katie?
Yeah, that seems to be what everyone has decided on. Aside from maybe the county administrator, he still likes to call me Rosenberg, but but Mayor Katie, the staff has decided on it, so you know you don't get to pick what you're called. Luckily, this is okay.
Well, I like it. It really rings to your personality, I believe, and the passion that you have for the community, and it's friendly and it's approachable. So. Mayor Katie, I want to thank you for your time that you shared with us today and encourage all of our listeners, the audience, pay attention to this new mayor. She's going to do great things. In my mind, she's going to do really good things. Mayor?
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, and you take care.
You too.
Okay.
This podcast episode is a production of the Greater Wausau Chamber of Commerce.